take a moment of silence for the more than 174,000 people who've been killed in Afghanistan over the last 20 years. And we have to keep in mind that those numbers reflect not only our troops, our contractors, humanitarian workers, journalists, but they also reflect the Taliban and other groups who see things differently than we do. So let's all bow our heads and have a moment of silence, please. No more war. No more war. No more war. Thank you.
How many veterans do you have here? Yeah, that's what I thought. Thank you all, brothers and sisters. Join me on the chorus. Last night I had the strangest dream I've ever dreamed before. I dreamed the world had all agreed more than to fall.
Only one member of Congress, and that was Barbara Lee from California. God bless her.
All right, Barbara.
But she's the only one that had the brains and the courage to vote against the war on Afghanistan. And that was the beginning of the longest war in our history. And today, we are back where we started. Only it's worse, because 174,000 people have died just in Afghanistan alone, not to mention those in Pakistan. And we have created a humanitarian disaster. This war was not a failure, though, for the top 5 defense contractors and their shareholders. The war was a cash cow for military contractors. They made huge profits from this war and the suffering of its victims. We oppose the folly of war, the futility of war, and we stand here together today, 20 years later, to say war is not the answer.
So America's longest war of 20 years is really a war of military involvement in Afghanistan of 42 years. So here's just a little bit of background about how we were lied to, leading to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. They lied to us and the world by claiming that we were not supporting Islamic fundamentalists in Afghanistan who were fighting to overthrow the Afghan government, which had initiated land reform involving women significantly in the labor force and in the schools. Brzezinski admitted that before the Soviet intervention, that he and others convinced Jimmy Carter to authorize U.S. military support for the jihadists. He believed that this would be expected to, quote, induce the Soviet Union to intervene directly with its forces. And that began a 10-year war of many Soviet troops, Afghan government fighting the jihadists.
Why should I care about Julian Assange and the whistleblower, Daniel Hale? This is what Julian said in 2011. Note the time, 2011. He said, the goal is to use Afghanistan to wash money out of the tax bases of the U.S. and Europe through Afghanistan and back into the hands of a transnational security elite. The goal, Julian said, is an endless war, not a successful war. And that is why the war profiteers, the Pentagon, the CIA, and their lackeys, who are politicians from both parties and the media, want to silence him. That is why they have worked so hard to turn the American people against Julian Assange. A decade ago, WikiLeaks exposed civilian deaths covered up by kill squads, our kill squads. Similarly, we have learned from whistleblower Daniel Hale that 90% of those killed by our drones over a 5-month period were civilians. The ACLU and Amnesty International have said that the case against Julian Assange criminalizes journalism, We need to speak up for Julian Assange, who told us the truth.
Collateral damage, cost of war. Not acceptable. Our next speaker is Mark Foreman, a lifetime member of Veterans for Peace and a Vietnam War veteran. Mark.
Can I see a show of hands of the veterans that are here tonight? That's really fabulous. How many of you have ever heard of Major General Smedley Butler? He had come to believe that war, in particular World War I, was really a profitable business for the few and at the expense of thousands of lives. The general public shoulders the bill. And what is the bill? Newly placed gravestones, mangled bodies, shattered minds. For a great many years as a soldier, I had a suspicion that war was a racket. Not until I retired to civilian life did I fully realize it. War is not going to end until we can take the profit out of it. I want to say welcome home to all the veterans out there, and just keep working for peace.
For 2 decades, the United States has carried out airstrikes with no accountability to the public for how many civilians were killed. The Pentagon is notorious for dramatically undercounting the number of civilians killed in U.S. military actions, and when the government does admit to killing civilians, it often refuses to provide any compensations for the victims. We call for a complete and total exit of U.S. military forces from that country and payment of reparations for the damage we have caused.
That's right, reparations.
Right there.
Humanitarian aid now. Yeah.
First time I heard the word today, reparations.
Reparations.
So important, reparations.
My name is Randy Bryce, and I'm with Common Defense. It's a group of progressive veterans. We're the largest national progressive group of veterans. We have over 250,000 supporters throughout the country, and right now we're actively organizing in 6 states. And these are going to be the swing states where there are Senate races that are coming up. So many people have the misconception that veterans are white, conservative guys. Nothing could be farther from the truth. We're looking for active people that are veterans, especially if they were in the Afghanistan conflict, to speak out. And what we're doing is we want to welcome our new neighbors, the Afghans, the refugees that are coming to Fort McCoy. These people risk their lives to help us, to help our troops. They already put in the work. The least we can do is bring them here and give them a new home. When I ran for Congress, people were always asking me, because one of our big topics was Medicare for all. And people were like, well, how do you expect to pay for that? I give you the Afghanistan war. And it wasn't just Joe Biden that ended this war. It was people like you coming together saying enough is enough.
I don't care how big or how small the crowd is, you are speaking truth to power, and I love it.
We demand an end to all aspects of the Afghanistan war, including bombing, drone strikes, mercenaries, covert CIA operations, and deadly sanctions. Amen. Amen. We need to reduce the Pentagon budget and support brave and moral legislators like Congresswoman Barbara Lee, who was the sole vote against using 9/11 to invade Afghanistan. It is now proposing a military budget that is cut by $350 billion by eliminating unneeded weapons, bases, wars, waste, and fraud. Amen. We need to fund humanitarian aid to Afghanistan, promote the rights of women by peaceful means, and support war refugees. Amen.
How many deaths will it take till he knows? Too many people have died. The answer, my friend, it's blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. You know, actually, I think the answer is right here. The answer is still blowing in the wind.
Yeah.
Thank you. Peace and love.